Hey everybody! Thanks for tuning in. Today I have a special tutorial for you guys. We are going to be making medical masks! This country is in desperate need of more medical masks. They're so easy to make that I'm going to teach you guys how to do it. And not only are we going to make one, not two, not three, 4 medical masks at a time in a row. Quickest, easiest way to do it. I worked in an industrial warehouse where I was a seamstress for the shelters that are exclusively used by FEMA. So being in a warehouse setting and making tents and shelters daily, you need to be able to make as many as possible, as quickly as possible, with little waste and most efficiency. So I'm going to show you the quickest, most efficient way. Good luck everybody! I will see you on the flip side. So for your mask, you're going to need 2 different kinds of fabric, one for your main mask color and one for your accent fabric. You're also going to need pieces of elastic. I used 1/4 inch elastic, any kind will do. You're going to need your pins, your snips, your rotary cutter, and of course your mat. The main fabric for our masks are going to be 8 inches by 14 inches. Any fabric you use is fine. It needs to be 100% cotton. So you can use an old t-shirt, you can use a printed fabric that's 100% cotton. Anything that is 100% cotton will do. We are going to be doubling up the masks, but if it is a very thin fabric, you can go ahead and put an interface layer underneath it to help add an extra filter. When you cut your fabric, make sure that your print is going to work in this direction, because each piece of fabric is going to be folded in half like this. So your print needs to work in this direction. The accent fabric needs to be cut into pieces that are 2 inches by 4 3/4 inches. And the pieces of elastic need to be 6.5 inches to 7 inches, depending on if you're making it for a man or a woman. A man is usually 7 inches and a woman is usually 6.5 inches. Either way, it will work just fine. Once you've gone ahead and cut all of your fabric, you're going to need 4 regular mask fabrics, because we're making 4 masks, and you're going to need 8 pieces of accent fabric and 8 pieces of elastic. Cut all your material and then you can begin. Now our first step in this tutorial is to take this fabric and fold it in half, right sides together. What you're going to be doing is putting a 3/8 of an inch seam along this raw edge. A regular sewing machine will work fine, or you can use a serger if you'd like to do that too. Fold every piece of fabric you need. This is not a time where you need pins, unless you feel more comfortable, and get each piece ready to go. Making sure your ends match, making sure all your ends line up. There we go. Go ahead and sew down. When you get to the end, come right to the end and drop your needle. Now, because this is not a finished seam, it does not require you to reverse on the beginning and end. So don't waste your time doing it. Next, you're going to take your next piece of fabric, line it up, line up that end to match really well. Put it right under your presser foot, right behind the other, not overlapping, but extremely close, and just start sewing. This saves so much time. Cutting, it saves extra thread waste. Get to the end, drop your needle. We're going to do this 2 more times. Use your snips to cut. These got a little off, but it's not that big of a deal. You're going to want to make sure now, when you cut these apart, look at that. You barely have to cut anything. It's just one little snip. And of course the last one has a little extra thread. But because you sewed them so close together, you have saved so much extra little scraps of thread that get stuck in there. Now you're going to take each tube and then unfold it. Once you've unfolded all of them, you can press these seams if you'd like, so they're nice and flat. I'm not going to waste that time. I'm just gonna make sure it's scooched up as far as it can, has a nice seam looking like that. And we're going to top stitch this end and the crease side. And again, we're gonna do it all at one time to make it faster. Line it up to do your top stitch. Now you can sort of scooch it up so it's nice and ready to be sewn. Just like before, you're going to get it close to the end, drop your needle, and go to your next one. Snip, 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 snip. Now you're going to turn so your crease is on this side. And again, you don't really have to pin, and if you'd like to press so you're more precise, that's fine too. I just kind of like pull it so I know it's half and just start it there. Again, these aren't finished seams, so you do not have to reverse and forward. We know every time we stop our sewing machine, that needle gets dropped, so we don't lose our place in our stitches. Snip, 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 and snip. Snip as you go, people, it saves time. So now we are going to work on our pleats that scrunch these sides together. So you're going to line up this fabric with a line and a line, so it's in that corner. You can see on each side. You're going to take your pin and you're going to measure up 1 inch and 1/4. Eyeballing is perfectly fine. It does not have to be perfect. You're going to measure 1 inch from this point. So another inch gets us to 2 1/4 inches. First distance is 1 inch. Second distance is 1/2 inch. So it puts us at 1 3/4. Again, eyeballing is not a big deal. From here, this next distance is back to a 1 inch distance. So it gets us to the next 1 3/4 inches. The next distance, going back to this distance, 1/2 inch. So we're at 1/4. And our last one is a 1 inch distance, which is right here. And that last one should be 1 1/4 inches from this end. So it's 1 1/4 inches from this end and 1 1/4 inches from this end. Take that, flip it. Do the same thing on the other side. Do this for every piece. Now, if you're like me and you've run out of pins, you're gonna have to kind of backtrack here so you can reuse your pins. So now what you're going to do, go back to your first one, turn it like so, and you're going to match these two pins together. Simply fold like this, so the pins match, and then fold the rest of the fabric back. So it makes a pleat, and it should be a 1/2 inch pleat. Take one of the pins out, pin it down, remove the other pin. Skip this, so this should be a 1/2 inch distance from this pleat to this pleat, and you're going to match these two pins. You're going to match these two pins together. And again, fold that fabric back. So it makes another pleat. Take one out, pin it in place, take the other one out. Last one, same way, match the pins, fold the fabric back. Take one pin out to pin it, remove the other pin. So you should have nice pleats like this. Turn your fabric to the other side. Here's where it just gets slightly more complicated. You're going to do the same thing, only you're going to start from this direction and work this way. So pins together, fold it back, take a pin out to pin it all together, take that pin out. It's a nice way to work left and right side of your brain. Be a little bit ambidextrous. Match these two pins, fold it back, take your pin out to pin it together, remove your last pin. So when you look at it as a finished product, all of our creases are pointed up in the right direction. What you can do if you really want to is press it. I really don't think that that's necessary. I'm not going to do it. So repeat that with each piece of fabric you have. Now all of your masks are pinned with their pleats. What you can do, run a stitch down each side to hold them in place and get rid of your pins. I'm not going to bother with that because I think it is a waste of time and we're trying to move as quickly as possible and get as much done as we can. So next step, you're going to need your pieces of elastic. Yay! Here they are. You're going to take your piece of elastic and take your mask. You're going to line it up with the very end, like so. Plop down a pin. Turn it to the other side, making sure it stays straight. Don't twist it. Keep it nice and straight. Bring it over, line it up right at the edge. Pin it. Turn it, repeat. Piece of elastic right at the edge. Pin. Turn, keeping it straight. Right to the edge. Pin it. You're done. Set it to the side. All right, I ran out of pins, so I'm just gonna not pin the other side of that. It's not a big deal. Going back to your first one again. We have one more thing to pin and then we're ready to sew. Finally, our pieces of fabric come in. Now, you can take each piece of this, you can fold it and press it if you need to. I don't need to do that, and I again think it's a waste of time. So you're gonna fold it, place it here, and if you kind of hold it up, there's a little bit of an overlap on each side. That's great, you want that. So you're gonna eyeball it, fold it over, like so. Take your pin out and repin all of those layers together. So that's accent, main color, elastic, and accent. You're gonna hold it across, put your pins in all three, the pleats and the accent fabric, and all the way to the end. Overlap, pin it. And you're gonna do that for each side. I don't need to do that, and you don't either. I promise you, the less pinning, the better. We're moving quick. So we're gonna just fold it, pin this top with the nice overlap, and be done. That's enough pinning. I promise you, you don't need to do any more than that. Set it aside. So now we have all them just slightly tacked in place. Finally, get to sewing. Let's start with our one that's pinned all the way down so you can see it really clearly. So we're gonna start here, and we're just gonna line it up really nicely under the machine. Get your 3/4 of an inch, drop your needle, and since your needle's dropped, it's already holding all of these pieces together. Go ahead and take that pin out, it's just gonna get in your way, and you can just carefully start sewing. Again, this is still not a finish seam, so you do not have to reverse. No back tacking is necessary. As you come close, remember, drop your needle, take out your pin. Drop your needle, take out your pin, drop your needle, take out your pin, finish it all the way through. Come to the end, drop your needle, stop. You're gonna take your next one, and here's why I'm gonna show you you don't need it. So you have your first one to hold everything in place. You're gonna drop, put it right underneath, and drop your needle. Now here, you use this hand to hold your fabric together, and use this hand to hold this fabric down. And you're just gonna hold it down, and use your finger as your pin. As you get close to your needle, as you get close to your pin, put your needle down, pull out your pin. You're still holding this. Match it down like this. You're getting close to that pin. Take it out. You can just take out the next pin too, since you're holding it so nicely. As you're getting this close, see that we have this overlap still. You're gonna lift up your needle, your presser foot, keep your needle down for sure, and you're gonna tuck this under. Boop. As easy as that. Put your presser foot back down, take out this pin, finish it out. Drop your needle, move on to the next one. Again, drop your needle so then you can see what you're doing. Fold this with this hand. Look at that, perfect. And then use this to pull, and use this to add more tension to push down. Push it down onto where the pin is. And as you go, stop and pull out your needles. And you can just hold it in place and take all of your pins out at once. It's gonna be fine. And as you're here, make sure this end is lined up. Tuck it under while you're thinking about it. Easy as that. Finish out strong. And if you come too far, just reverse and then fold it over. It's not a big deal. You don't have to put this pressure on yourself to get it perfect the first time. Make sure it's tucked under. Take out your pin and end strong. Lift it up, pull it out, snip, 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 And all right, you guessed it. Other side. Exact same way that we did it before. Okay, so now this is the one that I didn't have enough pins to pin this elastic, so I'm going to show you that it's like, it's almost like you don't even have to pin the elastic to begin with. It's just nice to have it like already ready so you don't forget as you're going, but you'll see how literally unnecessary it is altogether. Pull this around, make sure it's straight, and literally just put it in place. You're creating tension with your other hand. So use that tension, your other hand, just hold it together, hold it over, boom. So now we have one more step and we're done. So since it looks like this, you're now going to unfold it. And again, if you need to press, you can. I don't need to, and I'm not going to. It takes too much time. And you're going to turn it around, get our corners down. You're going to fold it over. So the whole thing is folded, and our elastic comes right out from the side. And again, if you need to pin this, you can. I'm telling you, you don't need to. You just hold it in place. You know, get it lined up nice. You know, use your fingers as your pins to hold it down. And you're simply going to top stitch this down. And see how I'm looking on this side and pushing my finger down where it needs to go, making my finger the pin. Come down. Now this is our finished seam, so we definitely want to reverse. Drop your needle and readjust. These pleats get a little confusing, but it's not something you can't handle, I promise. Again, get that lined up right on the edge. Keep coming down. As you get closer, readjust your end. Come to the end. You're going to reverse, just a few. Come back to the end, drop your needle, get your next one. Unfold it. Fold the entire thing over. I like to get that edge under so we don't see that corner. Lift your foot, put it back down. Reverse right away. Get that back tack in. As you go, readjust, get your end ready. Next. Snip. All right, and last step, you guessed it, the other side. And then seriously, you're finished. And voila! 1, 2, 3, 4 done at one time. Great job, everybody. You did amazing. Great job, everybody. Thanks for following along. I hope you had as much fun making these masks as I did shooting this video. Make sure you take a picture of your mask and show me on Instagram by posting with the hashtag #TinyHellFaceMask so I can see your work and give you a shout out and say congratulations. And as always, follow my Instagram, tinyhellonwheels, with underscores between each word. Thank you so much for joining along. Stay tuned for more tutorials. Get making, get donating. Thank you so much for your hard work.